So you have Miami at 6. You
Mm-hmm.
have Milwaukee at 5. So I guess it is my turn to get into my number 5. I know you're going to have them even higher, Logan. I think, you sick bastard. You sick bastard. You and this team, you have an emotional roller coaster of just
Mm-hmm.
a love
Every
story.
every day, man. Every day.
Every day you don't know how to feel about them. I have the Lakers here, and I've been high on the Lakers all year. I thought coming into the season, they were the second biggest threat out west. I thought after the Nuggets, this was a team that had just been to the Western Conference Finals and had maintained their level. And I think that I missed on several of their offseason moves. I, first of all, liked the Christian Wood move more than I should have. I liked the Gabe Vincent addition. He obviously has just barely played this year, so tough to really evaluate that. But I think I underestimated the loss of Dennis Schroeder, his point of attack defense. So overall, this has been an underwhelming regular season team. But I would not want to see them in the playoffs, man. And I think when it has mattered this year, they have shown us who they can be, and it is a damn good basketball team. They're 38-26 when LeBron and AD both play this year, which isn't like ridiculous, but that's a pretty damn good basketball team. Since February 1st, they are 21-9. And who is playing the best as of late matters, Logan, especially in these recent years when we have seen increased parity league-wide in a post-Warriors era, post-Warriors world. I personally think this year there's a bit of a reversal to that at the very top because I think Denver and Boston are way better than everybody else, but it's not like in the mid-2010s when in the West you had the Spurs and the Thunder who were like these juggernauts outside of the very top dog, that being the Warriors, and then you had the Rockets. There's just like a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams out West, but I don't think there's a great team outside of the Denver Nuggets. And so we've seen last year, the Lakers, mediocre most of the regular season, but post-deadline, they made the moves, they got that roster lined up, and they had the best record in the West post-All-Star break. Then they make the Western Conference Finals. 2022, the Mavs were a mediocre team for a lot of that year, ended as the 4 seed, best record in the West post-All-Star break. So if you are dialed in and playing your best basketball, we've just seen that trend out West when things are more even up and down the standings, that it matters. They have 2 top 10 players. That is always going to be a really meaningful formula. It's the same reason that we can view the Bucks still as contenders at all, even with all the issues that they have. When you have a duo of that caliber, those guys can carry you far. And we've seen it with LeBron and AD. We saw them win a title in 2020. Different versions of both of them, of course. Clearly better versions of both of them. But without the most inspiring supporting cast, because they were just overwhelming. This team is also huge, which I like, and they're especially huge when you have Rui Hachimura in that starting lineup instead of Taurean Prince, which they've been doing as of late. But when it just comes down to the value of LeBron playing significantly better basketball this year than last year, much better as a jump shooter, healthier, and we know that he can just pick his spots and get whatever he wants, attack mismatches, brutalize you with his physicality, kill you with his playmaking, has this single game ceiling that is just overwhelming, and AD can absolutely ruin series defensively, and that was the backbone of the run last year. It was, okay, AD is just going to absolutely wreck the game with his rim protection, with his ability to guard in space, with his ability to affect pocket passes with his hands, and if Jared Vanderbilt comes back, which is ambiguous, it doesn't look great right now. It seems like he's still a bit of a ways away, but they can be an elite defense. Like they were the best defense in last year's postseason. I think Minnesota is going to be tough to compete with this year, but outside of that, they can probably be the best in the field. And so then they have this elite team defense, potentially. They have one of the best duos in basketball, top 3 in my opinion. And D'Lo and Reeves are a pretty damn good combo of secondary shot creators. They combine for 34 points and 12 assists per game on 60% true shooting. So when LeBron takes his foot off the gas and isn't going to just be this ball-dominant, heliocentric player that he was back in Cleveland for full games, we know he's not going to do that. These guys can float the ship. And by the way, for 2 series last year, that was a good formula. Then D'Lo collapsed in the Western Conference Finals, but I do think he's a better player than he was last year, and I really believe in Austin Reeves. And there's some specific 2-man actions between Reeves and LeBron that are just really deadly, thinking about what they can do with ghost screens, for LeBron hunting switches, for Austin Reeves getting open from 3 off those actions. And I do like the fact that Rui is starting now because he's just way better than Taurean. he's proven himself to be an elite spot-up shooter over this last year plus. 43% from deep, way bigger, way stronger, better rebounder, better athlete, much better at creating his own shot. That's just a no-brainer to me to be starting Rui over Torian. So the ceiling this team has shown when they're engaged against good teams in this late push, in the in-season tournament, like that's looked like an elite basketball team. And they are very experienced. And as I mentioned, specifically in that matchup against OKC, like I don't want to disrespect the Thunder because they've just been so much better throughout this year consistently. But that's a brutal matchup. And even though I really like the Thunder's big three, like the potential for LeBron and AD to just overwhelm them is tough. They've actually guarded OKC's guards relatively well. I think they can bully them on the glass and in the interior overall. So in that matchup, that's kind of why I have LA at 5 and OKC at 6. And also against the other really big teams out west, the grown men teams, jumbo-sized, physical, experienced, like Denver, like Minnesota, I think LA is just more physically capable of matching up for sure. The concerns with them, consistency, obviously, been an issue throughout this regular season. It was an issue even throughout last year's playoff run. They just laid down some clunkers. And their path this year is going to be tougher no matter what. Like, you're not getting a team as flawed as the Grizzlies without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark last year. You're not getting a team in the second round as flawed as last year's Warriors team. Like, you're going to have to go on the road, and maybe you get OKC in the first round. Even that would be way tougher than either of last year's series, in my opinion. But if not, it's going to be the Nuggets or the Timberwolves. You're losing to the Nuggets. I still would pick the Timberwolves in that series. And then after that, you're going to have to play the Clippers or the Mavericks. Like, even though I think the Lakers are really good, I don't expect them to replicate last year's Western Conference Finals run. I think there's a very, very real chance. And just when I do the various permutations, they're probably going to lose first round. But I still think they can put up a better fight than a whole lot of other teams out west. And so that's just kind of their own doing. That's what you get for not playing good regular season basketball. You dig yourself a hole. You have to play the best teams early. That's not good. The other concerns that I have beyond just consistency, point of attack defense, if Vando isn't healthy, that's been a problem for this team. It's limited their defensive ceiling. The Reeves and D'Lo lineups are not good for that. I do still worry about D'Lo just doing his act where he's like, all right, what if I took a bunch of tough pull-up jumpers and I missed them all this time? I don't like that. And LeBron and AD, this kind of ties in with the consistency, but just holding up at that superstar level over an entire playoff run. LeBron physically, AD physically too to some extent, but also just with his offensive level and assertiveness. This team has concerns, and they are less proven clearly in this regular season than a lot of the other teams who we're talking about. But the good moments have been really good. The playoff formula has been proven, and I really like the basketball that they have been playing for the most part as of late. So I believe in them.
Joke's on you, buddy. They don't need to win the playoffs this year because they already won the in-season tournament.
True.
They're already going to raise a
Hang
banner.
the banner.
So
Hang the
it
banner.
doesn't matter. This is going to flow nicely. I have the Lakers one spot higher at 4. Vando to me is the X factor for this team and what they can do. If he's out there, again, he's maybe limited offensively. He can lock up the opposing team's best perimeter player. You put LeBron in a little bit of a rover role where he can make plays, AD on the backside. It's a really good combination. And you already mentioned D'Lo, Reeves. I trust them. I trust LeBron and AD. Again, maybe not consistency or effort-wise, but I trust them over the course of a playoff series. And then I think they got guys who can swing a series. You shouted at Hachimura, who I think is like you said, dude, a no-brainer start at this. I don't know how many times can we read metrics about Taurean Prince or Jackson Hayes and keep throwing them out there, man. It's like those guys suck. Play Roy. Roy balled out in last year's playoffs. Roy balled out the other night, had a 30-piece. There's just more volatility with Roy. And another guy whose volatility could help or hurt LA, Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm not the biggest Dinwiddie guy, but I mean, he's a pretty good third guard to have in this rotation, just in terms of length. If you need him in a pinch and he's on, he can help out. I thought in Brooklyn it was dumb. I thought they really handicapped him to what he could do as a lead ball handler, and I think this is a better situation for him. I'm not expecting him to go out there and swing a series, but he's a good rotation player to have here in LA. I had high hopes coming into the season. I picked them to win the title preseason. I anticipated
Oh, yeah, that's right.
big midseason moves. That didn't happen. I anticipated them playing better ball as the season went along. A lot of it didn't come to fruition, but they've been better post All-Star break. They're a big physical team. They're going to play great defense. They're going to rebound well. And again, like you said, they got two superstars. So there's a wide range of outcomes for LA. There's a way they get to the finals. There's a way they get bounced in the first round. I still believe in LA, like you, Carson, and that's why they're number 4, man. They got La Sunshine, man. There's a way. There's a way.
They have La Glorious King. I don't really know if there's a path for them to the finals. I just can't see them beating the Nuggets. They just get dogged by the Nuggets, man. And what's their advantage in that matchup? They don't really have one.
Injury luck.
Yeah, injury luck, I suppose. Miracles. La Sunshine is praised by the basketball gods and touched with their holy water to have this be his undeniable GOAT moment. It would have to be something like that. The Lakers, I still think, are really good. And it's funny because it's just so possible that they don't actually make any meaningful playoff noise because of how seeding is shaken out, which is totally their fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I can just see the waves of people saying, Lakers overhyped, and it's like, nobody's going to beat the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference. So if they lose to the Nuggets, if they put up a good fight, obviously it matters how they look. You can't just discount their basketball ability.